Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about the 10 books that are on my spring TBR. I like to do seasonal TBRs rather than monthly TBRs just because I never really know what I'm going to be in the mood for. I also feel like I have been a little bit all over the place with my reading so far this year, so I'm just trying to take it a little bit easy and not have anything too unattainable. I'm going to be counting this like from March probably to like May. I feel like once June hits, I'm pretty much in like the summer mode. So hopefully I can get to all of these books sometime within this time frame. Some of them I have actually already accomplished in March. So I'm hoping to get to all 10 of these. I would be so happy and so thrilled. If you have read any of these, I would love to hear your thoughts. And thank you guys so much for watching, and let's get right into the very first book. I'll start these out with the romance books that I have on my spring TBR, and then I'll go kind of into some fiction and then some more fantasy sci-fi books. So the very first book that I have on my spring TBR is How to Write a Love Story by Catherine Walsh. I saw this book on Goodreads and I thought it seemed very, very cute. I really liked the cover. And when I read the synopsis, I thought it sounded pretty unique. I feel like recently I just have been getting a little bit tired of the very almost rinse and repeat romance like tropes that have been used and very similar plot lines. But within this book, you follow Kira, and she is the daughter of a very well-known, very beloved fantasy writer, and her father has recently passed away, and he has left the very last book of this epic fantasy series unfinished. And actually, I don't even think it was started at all. I think he kind of just left an outline. And with his publisher, he left a letter saying that the only person he would want to finish the series is his daughter. She has written a couple mystery novels. Kira is left her father's estate on the Irish coast. And when she's feeling the pressure and is not really producing what her publisher wants, they decide to send Sam, who is the editor that will be working on this novel, to Ireland from New York to basically check in and kind of help her along in this process. At first, they butt heads a bit, and eventually it just goes into her writing this story and their summer on the Irish coast. I actually did already read this book and I did finish it. I did listen to the audiobook. I really liked the audiobook. I'm not gonna like say anything of my opinions or anything just because this is not a review. This is just a book that was on my TBR that I already finished. The next book is No Matter What by Cara Bastone. This is the author of Promise Me Sunshine. She also wrote Ready or Not, which I have not read, but I did read Promise Me Sunshine and I really, really enjoyed it. So I saw this book was coming out and I was pretty interested. It did seem like a more unique premise as well because the couple in this book are actually already married. I will read you the back just because I really don't know a ton. So it says, a traumatic accident tests the limits of love and resilience as a couple fights to rebuild what was broken and rediscover themselves in this tender, slow burn romance. So this couple is already married. I think they went through some sort of traumatic accident, and the husband in this situation decides to sign a new lease. And I believe Roz is her name, kind of panics and signs up for a figure drawing class. She has Vin, who is her husband, be the person that she's going to draw, I'm fairly certain. I just reread the back and it does seem a little bit confusing because it's talking about Roz and Vin, but then it's also talking about Roz being best friends with Vin's brother. And it almost like it's like they're not together, but they are together. It seems a little bit confusing. So I don't know, it looks pretty short. It's like around 300 pages. I really liked Promise Me Sunshine, so I'm really hoping to like this as well. It takes place in New York City, so I thought the cover was also very cute. Hoping to enjoy it. The next book is one that actually is not out yet. It comes out on April 24th, and this is Fragile Hopes by Lucinda Coney. I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly. This is described as a cozy, small-town, slow-burn romance. I believe the male main character is a firefighter, and the main female character has to return to this small town to be her brother's guardian. And I think they are actually neighbors as well, so I don't really know a ton about this. I thought the cover was really cute when I saw it on Goodreads, and I think I've read one book by this author, which I don't really think I was a huge fan of. Let me see what I rated it. I guess I never rated it, and I never wrote a review either. Okay, so I don't know how I felt about that book. I don't think I liked it that much though. It has a pretty good rating so far. It has 4.5 stars, which is pretty high. It only has 220 ratings. I definitely think I'll get to this. It seems pretty cute. And the final romance book that I have is called May Luna by Kelly McNeil. I will read the synopsis because I really don't know much about what this is about. I saw Sarah Caroli read it and she really enjoyed it. Let me read you the synopsis. A legendary band, an iconic lead singer, and their mysterious connection to a woman whose love helped create the music of a generation. Timing is Everything in a powerful novel about fate, regret, and moving on by the author of A Day Like This. In the 1990s, Carter Willis was the lead singer of an English alt-rock band, May Luna, securing his place among music legends. His tortured heart lyrics struck a chord, and so did his secret connection to a woman whose love changed all their lives. Who was she? Evie Waters' two grown children discover an iconic photo in an old magazine of a mystery girl with their mother. It all started in a wistful time and place for Evie, her 25th summer. A young columnist forging her career, backstage euphoria, a long-shot interview, and an almost cosmic connection with an enigmatic musician on the rise. What happened between them is a hidden story no one, not even Evie's family, knows. Until now. Worlds apart, Carter and Evie finally reveal their story, joyful, regretful, and unforgettable. It was a time when the stars aligned for a love so profound the whole world felt it. It was as if it would last forever. I believe this is on Kindle Unlimited, so I probably will get to it sometime soon. Maybe if it's like some of the other fantasy books I'm reading, maybe I'll read this on the side. We'll see, but I am pretty interested. I always like books like that where it's like a famous person, ex non-famous person. I think it is always like pretty interesting. I haven't read a ton like that, so I'm interested to see how I feel about this one. The next, like, only general women's fiction book on my TBR is Love and Saffron by Kim Fay. I'm going to buddy read this with my mom. Last year we read Kate and Frida by Kim Fay, which I think is the book that comes after this, and we absolutely loved it. I mean, I absolutely loved it. I'm fairly certain my mom enjoyed it as well. That was like one of my favorite books I read last year, and when I saw that this book came before it, I knew I wanted to read it eventually. This whole book is basically written as a series of letters between two young women. It is a novel of friendship, food, and love. It says two strangers, one recipe, a friendship for the ages. One of them is a newly food writer in Los Angeles, and one of them is an experienced columnist set outside of Camano Island, outside of Seattle. It takes place in the 1960s. So I am so excited to read this with my mom. I'm really hoping to enjoy it as much as we enjoyed Kate and Frida, because I absolutely loved that book. And then going into my sci-fi and fantasy portion of the list, first up is Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. I already read this, actually. I actually already saw the movie too, but if you have not seen anything about this book, this basically is a sci-fi novel. This was my first ever sci-fi I ever read. Let me tell you what it's about. Within this book, you are following Ryland Grace, and he is a middle school science teacher. And within this world, or within this version of the world, there is something that is basically causing the sun to die out, and they enlist him to do some experiments to figure out what is going on, why the sun is dying. And it basically, in the beginning of the book, he wakes up, he is not on Earth. He has no idea where he's at. His memories are pretty much non-existent, and he has to try to figure out what's going on. Slowly, his memories do come back to him, but he has to basically go on this mission in space to potentially save the Earth and save the sun from dying out. So that's all I'm gonna say about this one, just because if you've seen the movie trailer, there is like more like spoilers. I don't really know if it would be a spoiler about someone that does appear in this book. That's all I want to say on this, because I don't want to give my opinions. I have heard many great things about the audiobook. I did not read the audiobook. I just read it physically, but eventually if I ever do want to reread it, I would definitely consider listening to the audiobook, because I've heard so many great things about that. And I did watch the movie. I really, really liked the movie. The next book is Red Rising by Pierce Brown. This is also another like sci-fi-esque fantasy book. I am part of the way through. I'm, I think, around 35% of the way in, but so I don't know a ton yet. But within this book, it is still like set in this world, and within this book you are following our main male character Darrow, and he is a red, and basically a red is someone that lives underneath the surface of Mars, and they are like the lowest class, and they are basically miners to mine Mars to make it habitable for the then Golds And there's like different tiers of people in this world. There's the reds, the silvers, and then the golds. The golds are like the very highest class of people. Darrow is one of these like minor, he's called a Helldiver actually. A series of events happens where he basically has the opportunity and he goes undercover as a gold to try to infiltrate the system. That's all I really know because that's all like I've read so far. I've seen so many great things about this. I have kind of seen it compared a little bit to the Hunger Games, and as I'm reading it I am like slightly reminded of The Will of the Many just because they both go undercover and like try to infiltrate the system. This is a trilogy and I think there is another trilogy like set afterwards too, but I've seen so many good things about this book. I'm hoping my expectations aren't too high based off of all the good things I've seen. The next book is The Second Death of Locke by V.L. Bovalino. I think that this cover is so stunning. Within this book, you are following Gray, and Gray is a well. And within this like magic system, there are wells and there are mages. Gray is the well and her best friend Kier is the mage. So basically they have like a kind of connection where the well has all of the power, but the mage has the ability to wield that power. And I believe they are at war with an enemy kingdom. It says, when a quest to protect the child of an enemy kingdom pulls them into a dangerous mission, Gray will need to decide what she's willing to sacrifice to protect her secret. For Gray is no ordinary magical well, and if she dies, all magic dies with her. So I started this a little bit, but I just wasn't really like totally in the mood for it. I really am hoping to read this. I've had it on my TBR, I think since November. So I want to read it very, very badly. I just feel like I need to be in the mood for it. I did start listening to the audiobook a little bit. I was listening to it on Spotify and I only have like, I think not even an hour left of like credits to use. So I'm hoping to get to it eventually. And then the next book is so thick. I mean, I don't even think it's a ton of pages. Oh, never mind. I take that back. But this is such a thick book. And this is The Raven Scholar by Antonia Hodgson. This is like a very thick book. And I'm very, very anxious to go into this because I'm scared. But I've also heard a lot of good things about this. I will read you the inside cover. It says, it is a masterfully woven tale of imperial intrigue from an electrifying new voice in epic fantasy. It says, let us fly now to the empire of Orun, where after 24 years of peace, the reign of Brisson the Brusque has come to an end. In the dizzying heat of midsummer, 7 exceptional warriors, thinkers, and strategists compete to replace him. When one of them is murdered, it falls to Nima Kra, the emperor's brilliant, idiosyncratic high scholar, to find the killer and fight for the throne. Nima believes she is alone, but we are here to help. All she has to do is let us in. If she succeeds, we will win an empire. If she fails, death awaits her, but we won't let that happen. We are the Raven, and we are the Magnificent. I feel like I never fully read the synopsis because I never read that last couple parts. But yes, I believe that she is set out to find out who murdered one of the contestants. I don't know anything else about this. I feel like of all the books that are on my list, this might be one that gets pushed back just because this is thick and I feel like I'm going to need to devote a lot of time into this. And it will probably take me a little while, so I'll do my best. And then the next book is actually a series that I will be rereading this spring, probably into summer. I don't know how long it's going to take me. I'm going to be reading this series with my mom. It will be her first time reading it. It will be my third time reading it. And it is, of course, my favorite series of all time. And this is the Throne of Glass series, but I am including the Assassin's Blade because this is what we're going to be starting out with. I debated for a while what I wanted to start with when I was doing my reread because Throne of Glass is the first official book in the series, but this is a prequel. And I was thinking about which order I wanted to read it in this time. And so I decided we'll read Assassin's Blade first and then go into Throne of Glass. But Throne of Glass is a series about a young assassin who was captured and taken to an enslavement camp, and she is approached by the prince of this whole entire kingdom, and he's basically gives her an option to leave this camp and fight to become the king's champion. And it goes on a whole journey. This is a prequel to that book, so it follows more of like the main female character Selena and her background and everything leading up to that book. But I love Throne of Glass is my favorite series of all time. So I'm so excited to be rereading it, and especially because ACOTAR 6 is coming out this year, I want to probably reread all of Sarah's books. I'm gonna be honest. I'll start out with Throne of Glass and then probably go into Crescent City. And then right before ACOTAR comes out, I will reread ACOTAR in that whole series. So it'll be a very Sarah J Maas heavy year for me, which is totally fine with me. Especially mostly Throne of Glass. Crescent City I could do without. Could really do without that. But I'm so excited to read Throne of Glass again. It's my favorite series of all time. Those are the books that are on my spring TBR. Some of them I've already read, some of them I'm in the middle of. If you guys have read any of these books, I would love to hear your thoughts and let me know in the comments below what books are on your TBR, if you have a spring TBR or a book you're currently reading. Thank you guys so much for watching and I will see you in my next video. Bye!